A voice like rain on an old tin roof brings stories alive with a soothing truth. In pages he weaves a world so light, the stars lean close to kiss the night. His voice lulls hearts in restless mind, lost in tales where dreams unwind. The book feather reads as shadows rise. His words are calm as lullabies. So turn the page and close your eyes. Float where the quiet whispers lie. Across the oceans the story's tide. Relax and let the world subside. A thousand accents the moonlight bends, in words no borders, no distance ends. Worlds collide in his gentle tone. A whisper makes you feel at home. Each line he shares feels like coming back to a hearth of words in the silent black. From novels deep to poems that sway, he reads the night into the day. So turn the page and close your eyes. Float where the quiet whispers lie. Across the oceans the story's tide. Relax and let the world subside. A thousand accents the moonlight bends, in words no borders, no distance ends. Across the oceans the story's tide. Relax and let the world subside. A voice like rain on an old tin roof brings stories alive with a soothing truth. In pages he weaves a world so light, the stars lean close to kiss the night. His voice lulls hearts in restless mind, lost in tales where dreams unwind. The book feather reads as shadows rise. His words are calm as lullabies. So turn the page and close your eyes. Float where the quiet whispers lie. Across the oceans the story's tide. Relax and let the world subside. A thousand accents the moonlight bends, in words no borders, no distance ends. Worlds collide in his gentle tone. A whisper makes you feel at home. Each line he shares feels like coming back to a hearth of words in the silent black. From novels deep to poems that sway, he reads the night into thousand accents the moonlight bends. In words no borders, no distance ends. Across the oceans the story's tide. Relax and let the world subside.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Giggity. All right.
Seems quiet. Too quiet.
I'm Batman. Gotham is never safe without me. What time is it? It's 7 o'clock. Okay, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. You can attach towers? Shut up. Impromptu performance this evening, which I must say was indeed a welcome distraction. Thank you, Mr. Holmes. You're very kind. This is going to be funny.
Hello. Good evening. I am very excited. Hi, Kay. You're the first to chat, but actually, it's just Raji, aka Justin, claimed first place. Mom House Gaming, hello. Wonderful to see you. And Mad Locust is here. Hello, hello, hello. I'm so excited. Our new puppy, 5-month-old mini Ozzy, is moments away from being at the house. Moments away. Stolen first? Yes, you did. You sneaky little devil. Rexter! You don't know how to do that anyway? It's in the channel point redeems. There's also a second place and a third place. He's so excited, he just can't hide it. I am. This puppy is freaking adorable. She's 5 months old. She's 99% potty trained. She's crate trained. She's been around other bigger dogs, which is good because we have a bigger dog. And she's like, I don't know, 15 pounds. So I got to meet her for the first time on Friday. And when I was holding her, her tiny little head, she nuzzles it right here on your shoulder, right under your neck, or under your chin, and just sits there while you petting her little tail. Dum, 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 dum. It's amazing. And I can also tell that my cat just used a litter box and it stinks. The messed up part is the litter box isn't in here. It's in a different room, but for some reason, the smell makes its way in here. It's awesome. Love it. Yeah. So yes, I am very, very excited to show you. Petra is going to be her name. Petra. Pupper. A new family member is always great. Absolutely. The indoor cats do make that stench. Oh my God, they do. Mama don't do cats. I mean, cats aren't for everybody. We got this cat, Rocket is his name, during COVID. Because both of our dogs had passed away just before that. And I was like, you know what? Let's get a cat. With a cat, you can leave for extended periods of time. They go potty inside. And they kind of keep to themselves for the most part. But anyway, it's fine. At least you're prepared with Febreze. Yeah. Unfortunately, I am. Unfortunately, I am. My friend's old cat used the toilet. I don't know how he got it to do that, but sometimes when I use the bathroom, there was tiny cat poop swimming in the toilet. That's amazing. I mean, I know you can train cats, but it's not like you see that all the time. They must have, I think they probably put something underneath the lid of the toilet, so it was like the cat litter was there, and then it would eventually, and just over time remove it. They make special litter trays for that purpose. Yeah, that sounds about right. Oh boy. Well, while we wait for the puppy, let me show you your lovely puzzle for today. There it is. I know it's kind of hard to see on the screen, but I do apologize. There's a lot of similar color tones in this puzzle. So, sorry, not sorry. Dry's here. I went out and bought a new book. Do tell. Do tell. Oh, and while we have the opportunity, I should probably do a couple of spin redeems while we're waiting.
Hammer Curls X10.
All right, so we have hammer curls times 10.
No weight squats X5.
And squats times 5, but without weights. So let me just remove those two. Okay, let's do that. Now I have 2 books. I just have to learn how to read. Hey, I mean, gosh, you're close. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Boom, nailed it. What is the title of book number 2, Dry? You've inspired me to try and read, but I'm not working out. I don't have that ambition. It's funny. So there's a lot of streamers I know, like It's Just Raji, for example, aka Justin. Stunt Mama is another, and they'll do like Bean Boozled kind of stuff. And at one point in time, I did like really sour candies, like not even the nice kind of sour. Like these were just gross. And I got to one stream where I had to chew on so many, I just put all 5 of them or whatever in my mouth, and I almost puked on stream because the grossness of it mixed with the intensity of the sourness in my stomach. I hated it. It was nasty. So I was like, you know what? I can do better for myself. And so I switched it. And it originally was just push-ups. That's all it was. And then I changed it to the 4 that we had before, the push-ups, squats, curls, hammer curls. And now it's all of those, but with a a few extras added in, or variations of those. So book 2 is a mystery again. It's called The Black House. The Black House. Why does that sound so familiar? Maybe I'm... Wasn't there a movie that Daniel Radcliffe was in? Or am I thinking of The Black Mirror? Maybe. I forget. But anyway, a mystery sounds fun. I hope you enjoy it. Zarias, welcome to the puzzle. Let's see if you can actually finish it this time. Zarias. Watching you. Watching you. I'm gonna give a shout out to my mods here real quick. Here's one of them. Mama House Gaming. Don't let her cold demeanor fool you. She's a big softie. I know the truth. I know the truth. I see right through your shield.
Well, we know it got freezing. God. I swear, I literally...
Good evening, KD. How are you? You don't have to do all that. I will shout out my mods. Thank you very much. Good evening, KD. I hope you are well. I can't believe we're so close to finishing your book. It's like a cool thing, but a sad thing all at the same time. The last book let me down in the last paragraph. Basically, it said about the character, if you're reading this, I'm dead. Wow. Okay. That is kind of... Dang.
You were seeing all this stuff?
Can
I'm
you
not
move
seeing
away?
anything. It's fine.
Can you move away from the cam, please? Thank you.
Oh, shit. Sorry.
You're blocking my view. Someone told me that I was like an onion. You have to peel back the layers to get to the juicy inside. Do we consider onions juicy, though? Is that a thing? They have juices, but I mean, I don't think of an onion and go, man, I can't wait to. Oh, I hear people. I hear people. Puppy's coming. The puppy's coming. Everybody get ready.
She's a little bit dirty.
That's okay. And my tea is delicious. All right, here comes the puppy. Hi, Petra. Oh, come here.
She's so scared.
Goodness. Hello. Oh my gosh. Hey, baby girl. What a good girl. What a good girl. So guys, this is Petra. And that's my son. See how she just nuzzles? Yeah. Here, let's see if we can get her face. No, I'm hiding.
Like, I'm playing hide and seek. Get me out of here.
Oh, yes. What? Not right now. Okay, here you go. See you later, cutie. I'll see you later. Love you too. Close the door anyway. She's so precious. Yeah, she's a little Aussie. She's a mini. And from the litter, we were told that she was like the smallest. Like, she's 5 months old and she's not going to get much bigger. So it's amazing. And hi, B12. Hello. Hello. You went wrong about the snuggling? No. And I can't wait to get some more after stream. So with that in mind, though, I gotta focus. Your boy is cute too. Thank you. Yeah, he does look a lot like me. It's he's a good-looking kid. Okay, read. Bye. Wow. Okay. I see how it is. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting first night. He's much cuter than you. Well, I know this. It's fine. All right. You guys remember how to do the... Well, she's crate trained, and the crate... We put the crate in our room for now. So that'll help. But we'll see. We'll see. You know, it's gonna take a minute. You guys remember how to do this? Exclamation point play to play. I'll put 60 seconds on the clock. So, we're starting off tonight with chapter 43. This is from Sherlock Holmes' perspective. Comme vive l'autre meta. How the other half lives. I don't think he's talking about his wife. Thank you for being here. I hope no matter what your weekend's been like, that this will be an opportunity for you to chill out, relax, do what you need to do. But in the meantime, I'm going to read a story to you. Here we go. We arrived at the Grand Hotel Savoy in the Departer's horse-drawn police vehicle. We entered the foyer, stepping into an elaborate, vast lobby with a spectacular ground floor bar, an impressive array of marble chandeliers, and floors adorned with antique furniture. The captain introduced us to the concierge, a short, wiry chap who spoke with an air of authority, not quite matching his overall deportment. He stared at us behind a pair of horn-rimmed glasses, regarding us with suspicious eyes. After Romano briefly explained the urgency of the situation, that the hotel was likely harboring two dangerous criminals who were wanted for questioning by the polizia, the concierge's manner became more congenial. He opened the black leather visitor's ledger, allowing us to read the entries. We flicked through the list of names to discover 80 couples had booked reservations at the hotel earlier that week. According to the register, 55 remained in residence. I quickly scanned the list, and one name made me stop in my tracks. What room was assigned to this couple? I inquired, pointing to the entry. Ah, Signor and Signora Sanju are checked into the Aphrodite suite on the second floor. Are they in residence at the moment? Oh wait, that was Romano. Romano asked. The concierge nodded. Yes, Inspector. As far as I'm aware, there was no sign of them at breakfast. Signor and Signora Sanju tend to keep to themselves and seldom make an appearance in the dining room. preferred instead to take all meals in their room. Romano turned his attention to me. Are you sure? He asked. I smiled derisively at the inspector. I would stake my life on it. It's no coincidence that Sanju is an anagram of Janus. After a brief, animated conversation with the hotel manager, who'd come out of his office to find what all the fuss was about, the inspector signed for the spare key, secure in the knowledge that 4 of Lepati's plain-clothed guardi were on watch outside his building. In the meantime, the 3 of us made our way up the sweeping staircase to the 2nd floor. Each of us was armed, and I suspected a little apprehensive about what we might face. The Aphrodite suite was at the end of a long, winding corridor to the rear of the 2nd floor. Lepati rapped on the door but received no answer, and he won't. He rapped again, this time more urgently. Nothing but a deadly silence. Romano pulled the key from his pocket and turned the lock. The door opened slowly, and we tentatively stepped inside. The suite appeared empty and was elegantly furnished with a chaise lounge and 2 hardback chairs which sat next to an oak coffee table. A marble fireplace was the room's centerpiece, with 2 urns filled with flowers. To the side was a dining table with an ice bucket, hosting a half-empty bottle of champagne, a half-eaten bowl of salted almonds, and 2 half-filled flutes. And I do appear to have won the first race. I'm so sorry, Mama House Gaming. You'll have to try again. This time with a bit of gusto, yes? Right. 60 seconds on the clock. I inspected both with a magnifying glass. One flute was smeared around the rim with red lipstick, while the other held the faintest residue of white powder, which would be undetectable to the human eye. Next to the dining table was an easy chair, and on that lay the body of a man of middle years, his lips blue, his eyes wide open in a haunting, fixed stare. He was dressed casually in black trousers and a white shirt. One arm trailed on the floor next to a notebook and a fountain pen. I checked the man's pulse, shaking my head. I was flooded with a sense of recognition. There was something familiar about Jack Stapleton's full lips and high cheekbones. He looked much older than I remembered. His blonde hair, once described by Laura Lyons as spun gold, was now streaked grey, and his face was lined and covered with liver spots from too much drink. I stared at him. I had often pondered how I would react if I ever came face to face with the antagonist instrumental in kidnapping my son. This man who relentlessly pursued me, driven forward by hatred and revenge. But looking at him now, his deathly pallor, the pathetic circumstances of his demise, I felt almost sorry for Jack Stapleton. Almost. I turned my attention to Romano and the captain. This man has been dead for several hours, and from the looks of it, he's been poisoned, most likely by arsenic. What do you think happened? A lover's quarrel? A love affair gone wrong? Romano asked. Possibly, but more likely, Stapleton met his end by treachery and double-dealing. I said as my attention was drawn to a valise in the corner of the room. I opened it, pulling out a knife from its sheath. Amongst the other possessions we found in the suite was a cache of private papers, including a diary. Rifling through the contents, I had no doubt who they belonged to. What of the accomplice? Lepati asked. We shall check the rest of the suite, Captain, but My theory is that the perpetrator of this heinous crime, Connie Gallagher, has long gone. The deceased man is Jack Stapleton, otherwise known as Robert Barrett. Of that, I am certain. Romano and I continued with our inspection of the suite, checking every nook and cranny, while the party went downstairs to summon an ambulance and the medical examiner. Romano drew my attention to a tin of tooth powder found in the bathroom. My magnifying glass revealed parts of the powder differed slightly in color and size and would be almost indistinguishable to a layman untrained in the history of poisons. My goodness, it's a tacky Corgi. Hello. Corgi, I'm afraid you have missed the puppy. But don't worry, I will have the puppy back on stream sometime. Still, to Romano and me, there was no doubt, or no double that it was there, and it was most likely arsenic. Securing the lid, Romano placed the tin in his pocket to be checked out by the medical team and later used as evidence. The inspector and I exchanged glances before I left him to continue his search of the bathroom and stepped back into the lounge. You will see her at some point, I promise. My eyes darted around the room and noticed something glittering on the floor. I bent down to retrieve the notepad and a woman's silver earring from under a chair. There was a page in the notepad addressed to the attention of Luca Sapori, the handwriting barely legible, reminiscent of a spider having crawled over the page. That note looks like it's been written by an illiterate child, Romano said while peeking over my shoulder, his eagle eyes missing nothing. No child, I said. It's not what we see, Inspector. It's what we don't observe. This note was penned by a man who knew he hadn't long for this world. I read the note's contents, trying to decipher the writing as best I could. These are the last words of a dying man. I was done for by Connie Gallagher, who intends to flee by boat to Germany using the pseudonym Beatrice Shaw. I've wronged you. It's true, Sapori. I shouldn't have taken the boy, I know. But as a father, I implore you to help protect my only child, who I swear is innocent in all of this. I beg you to shield them from their father's true identity. That's quite the ask of a guy like Jack Stapleton. What looked like the start of another sentence was dramatically cut off in a faint squiggle. I folded the note, tearing off the second section and placing it into my pocket, leaving the narrative about Gallagher on the table beside the body. Holmes, you can't do that. You're withholding evidence, Romano said, his steely gaze fixed on me. This is a private note from one man to another. It has no bearing on the case or Stapleton's demise. Please trust me on this, Inspector. Romano nodded. They are clearly the rambling words of a man who'd lost all the sense of reasoning. Were you aware Stapleton had a child? I shook my head. No, it's alleged that his late wife Beryl was pregnant when she passed away. There are no other children that I'm aware of. All right, I'll let it go for now. The man was undoubtedly hallucinating when he scribbled out that note. Romano cocked his head to one side, staring at me with a curious expression. But if I didn't know better, Holmes, I would swear you have a grudging respect for the woman who outwitted Jack Stapleton. Ring any bells, my friend? The inspector punctuated his statement with a slap on my back. I stared at him incredulously. There is no comparison to what happened with Neen. This woman, Connie Gallagher, is an extremely dangerous individual who will have no qualms about killing again if anyone dares get in her way. She's a game player, and this game is far from over. Romano looked about to say something else when the captain returned, striding purposefully into the room. Gentlemen, the ambulanza has been summoned, along with the medical examiner. We will know more after the autopsy, of course. Although I think it's pretty obvious how this man died. And now Connie Gallagher has a murder to add to her list of offenses. We have additional men covering the port. If this woman is still in Genoa, I promise we will find her. Come, gentlemen. It would be a while before the medical examiner and the ambulance get here, and I think we could all make use of a drink. That's the spirit. Leave the dead guy, go get a beverage. When we arrived back at the hotel, the medical examiner confirmed what we already suspected. Stapleton's death had all the hallmarks of being caused by arsenic poisoning. Although, it would take a few days for official clarification, pending the autopsy report. Mama, getting a win on me. This next race really excites the marbles, don't you think? 60 seconds on the clock. Nothing at the port to report, but goats I should have read that first. Should have read that first. Oh. Delicious. I immediately called Neen to let her know that Stapleton and Rodriguez were both dead, with Gallagher and the other fugitive on the run. It was unlikely the now depleted gang would dare threaten our family again. Exhilarated by the news, Neen said she was looking forward to my return home the following day. She laughed when I told her of Angelino's expression of faint disbelief when Romano and I returned his beloved painting. They say a picture paints 1,000 words, and this was certainly true. Having observed Angelino's delighted expression when he was reunited with his treasured family heirloom. True to his word, the car mogul wrote a substantial check there and then in favor of Dr. Bernardo's, a charity close to Neen's heart, of which she was a proud patron. She gasped when I revealed the amount, humbled and stunned by Angelino's kindness and generosity. It's probably like £100. In my absence after the holiday, Charlotte had returned home earlier than expected, and was her usual buoyant self. Her antics had lifted Nico's mood somewhat. Neen said our son was overjoyed to see his little sister again, to celebrate, and as a special treat, she planned to take the children to Parco Sempione, along with Sophia Moon and her family later that afternoon. I agreed it would do Nico good to get out of the villa, dragging him away from his studies to take in some invigorating fresh air and return to a normal routine. Our son... Excuse me. Wow. Our son had understandably been quiet for the first few days after his release from captivity. At our request, Dr. Pease, a renowned child psychiatrist and medical practitioner, called to see Nico the day after his rescue. At Neen's insistence, they spent over an hour chatting in the familiarity and comfort of our son's bedroom. When Pease eventually came downstairs, my stomach lurched in anticipation of what the good doctor would have to say. What damage had those brutes inflicted on our beloved son? Renato, I'm just here for the puppy. Renato, the puppy has come and gone. I'm so sorry. But there will be other times. Now I'm here for the story. That is still here. You can also puzzle and marble race if you wish. We're on page 277, by the way. The puppy shall last for an eternity. They always do. The puppy is gone like a goat in the ocean, sailing a boat. Bye. You're just not gonna let that go, are you, Dry? It was months ago, man. Months ago. Okay, I'm done. Yeah, right. Okay. Till next stream, maybe. Anyway, where were we? Thank you for the lurk, Fubar. However, thankfully, my fears were unfounded, and all doubts vanished after observing the medic's broadly smiling face. Ushering him into the drawing room with a glass of whiskey in one hand and a Cuban cigar in the other, he sat back on the chaise lounge to report his findings to me and an anxious Neen. Your son is a remarkable boy, and ultimately an astonishing example of the resilience of the human spirit. You must be very proud. Pease said. Neen and I nodded in agreement, and the doctor continued. Children, for the most part, have no fear. They are born naturally curious and remain so until taught otherwise. But the poor boy must have been terrified, Neen said. The doctor nodded. Yes, it's true, he was at first. But Nico told me he always believed you would come through for him. In the end, Signor Sapori... The doctor paused momentarily, sipping from the glass. Your son appears to have struck up a close bond with one of the abductors, a fellow named Gino. Well done, Dry. You took that round. But will you take the next? Difficult to say. This one's totally tubular. Nope. Pease laughed, observing Neen's shocked expression. I assure you, Signor Sapori, this is not unusual in such cases, especially for someone so young. There is no need for alarm. Your son will likely never see or hear from this man again. He will forget him soon enough. Nico hasn't spoken much about his ordeal, and we had no wish to traumatize him any further. I know he's had nightmares about that woman and her rage-twisted face, but please tell me, did you find any signs of physical abuse? Neen asked, speaking in a hushed tone. Pease shook his head. No, nothing like that. I examined your son, and there doesn't appear to be any signs of physical trauma. On the contrary, from what Nico told me, the perpetrators treated him well. Even that woman you mentioned earlier named Connie. Apart from giving Nico the injection, I don't believe she mistreated him. The doctor handed Neen a prescription. This is for your son. It's a little something to help him sleep. The nightmares will lessen as he occupies his mind with other things. Nico told me he has been studying hard to pass the Harvard exam. If your son focuses on that, he should be fine. Harvard? Passing the Harvard exam? Relieved by the doctor's narrative, we bid him farewell, thankful that our son appeared to have survived his ordeal, displaying tenacity and bravery that took my breath away. I hadn't mentioned Stapleton's note during the telephone conversation with my wife, so I decided to wait until I returned to Milan to speak to her confidentially. If my theory was correct, then we had much to discuss. According to Neen, our governess, Hildegard Aiken, was set to leave our employment imminently, good grief, imminently after receiving a letter from her mother pleading for a reconciliation. With a reputation as a formidable woman, Martina... It's quite the name. Shokamole. Shokamole? Sugarmole. Martina Sugarmole. Sugarmole. Reminds me of the Pink Panther movie when he's like, I have in my pocket an hamburger. A what? An hamburger? Please tell me somebody knows what I'm talking about, otherwise I just sound like an idiot. Harvard had a school for students before they were transferred to the university. Oh. Okay, that makes so much more sense. Shokamole. Shokomole. And there's Dragon. I can read your sarcasm. It just jumps off the screen. I'm onto you. With a reputation as a formidable woman, Martina Shokomole was unlikely to take no for an answer. The celebrated concert pianist was due to arrive in Milan the day after tomorrow, having booked a reservation at one of the city's oldest and most prestigious hotels, the Regency. She would travel to the Sapori residence later that evening. Excuse me. Having accepted a dinner invitation from Neen. This revelation came as quite a surprise and was a welcome distraction from the contents of Stapleton's cryptic message that kept playing over and over again in my mind. When I closed my eyes, the image of him lying there in that room, the stench of death, felt oddly detached from reality. Even when rotting in hell, Stapleton was manipulating me. I could scarcely believe how foolish I'd been. And that is the end of chapter 43. First time here, but got a follower for life. Oh, well, thank you, Renato. I appreciate that. On Sundays and Tuesdays, we read books. On Thursdays, we play a game of various nature, usually something like American Truck Sim or Helldivers, something like that. And on the book reading days, I read books by authors that are alive and that give me permission to read their work. In this case, we are reading a book that KD has written. We've read 2 of her books now, actually. You can actually see the information at that link. Feel free to check that out if you so choose. Our next book, written by a woman that used to live where I live. Almost alive. Yes, like it's very late for you, so you should be dead to the world by now. The next book we're going to read is called Tennessee Wishes. I never read ahead. So, Renato, everything that you hear for the first time, I'm reading it for the first time. Oh, it helps if I push play. Or start. Unlike Johnny's, this is beautiful. Literate chaos. Don't be mean. Johnny's a good guy. I can't wait to read Dee's book. I'm hoping it'll be ready after we've read Tennessee Wishes. But we'll see. Man, that's some good tea. Man. All right. Chapter 44 is from Neen Adler's perspective. What? Weird. Anyway, it's from Neen Adler's perspective. It's called Riconguing Emento tra Madri Figlio, or Mother and Child Reunion. I don't know if I've said any of the Italian correctly at all. But gosh darn it, it's fun to try. All right. Page 280. Chapter 44 from Neen Adler's perspective. Jacques Clouseau. I've heard of him. He stole the diamond, got the Pink Panther. You've done very well. You're very kind, thank you. Ever since our beloved son was returned to us, I'd been walking on air, thanking God every day in my prayers that no harm had come to him. But, of course, I was aware that the true heroes behind Nico's rescue, like a cavalry galloping to the rescue, were Milano Polizia, Salvatore, and my brilliant husband. And now, with Charlotte home, the villa was once again filled with laughter and the incessant chatter of our beloved children. I even disregarded Charlotte's exuberant antics, which she took full advantage of. Even Nico, who announced he wished to study in peace, allowed his sister into the inner sanctum of his bedroom, where he chatted to her at length, reading her stories with a patience that touched and humbled me simultaneously. Sherlock and I decided not to tell our daughter about her brother's kidnapping. Nico said he had no wish to see his little sister upset. We all agreed that our funny, precious, curious 6-year-old would struggle to cope if she discovered what had happened. The last thing we desired was for her to feel any measure of fear, or to become the subject of ridicule or ill treatment, should she, by some misstep, let slip a word of the abduction and allow the matter to reach the ears of the general public. The thought of having the press congregate outside the villa, firing off questions every time we opened the front door, was not conducive to a stable family environment. You should live in 2025 in California with all the celebrities. Bruh. I knew from personal experience that journalists were not always receptive to children. Therefore, Nico's capture became a secret we agreed to keep within our tight-knit family unit. The evening after Charlotte returned home, I entertained my close friend, Sophia, after she accepted my dinner invitation. Apologies, had to clear my throat. The invite was also extended to Hildegard, who politely declined the suggestion, explaining she had much to do before her mother arrived, preferring instead to take her evening meal earlier in the kitchen with Alice and Ginevra. I didn't attempt to argue with her. I knew our governess had mixed feelings about meeting her mother again. On the other hand, she was understandably excited about being invited back into the bosom of the family. After a delicious dinner of roast chicken and seasoned vegetables, expertly prepared by Alice, Sophia and I relaxed in the garden, partaking in wine while catching the last of the Tuscan rays as the sun slowly began to set. Sophia seemed to sense my somber mood. I was admittedly quieter than usual during our conversation, not yet fully restored to my usual self after everything that had transpired. "Where's Sherlock? And what are you keeping from me?" Sophia asked, staring at me with burning curiosity over the rim of her glass. "I've known you too long, my dear, not to know when something is amiss. Like when Kay wins a race in marbles. Well done." Oh dear, Renato has redeemed a daily book bonk. That wasn't very good, hold on. Ah, there it is. "60 seconds on the clock. Feel free, Renato, to join the marble races. If you wish." The Batman one is calling me. I do a better Bane than a Batman. I do a good mocking Batman. But anyway. I stared at Sophia, perplexed. "Sophia Moon, you never could resist meddling in people's personal lives in a way that some would describe as snooping." "Well, you may call it snooping, but I call it natural curiosity. I'm looking out for my dear friend. Anyway, it's only snooping if one has something to hide." "Do you?" she asked, raising an eyebrow in mock humor. I sighed deeply. "I've never been able to keep anything from you, Sophia. But what I'm about to tell you cannot be repeated to a living soul, not even Robert. I hope you understand." "All right," she agreed. "You have my word." I sat back in my chair, taking several sips from my glass of Barolo. Before I calmly explained to Sophia all that had transpired with Nico. As tricky as recounting the sorry tale was, I had to smile as my story unfolded. Sophia raised a brow, staring at me in a jaw-dropping incredulity, her beautiful brown eyes flashing like molten chocolate in the moonlight. "Why, it's unimaginable," Sophia said. "I'm so sorry that you and Sherlock were left to face all this. I wish Robert and I had been there to help. Been here to help." Sophia rose from her seat, tears coming to both our eyes as she threw her arms around my shoulders, wrapping me in a loving embrace, reminiscent of Salvatore's innocent welcome hug only a few days earlier, and a stark reminder that Sherlock and I had barely exchanged a peck on the cheek since all this saga began. I longed to be enfolded in his loving arms again, and back on that pedestal he proudly placed me on. I took hold of Sophia's hand, squeezing it gently. "I don't want you to worry. It's more or less all over with. there are just 2 members of the gang for the police to round up, although, hopefully, they'll be miles away from Milan by now. Well, I'm sure the Polizia will catch them soon. As for Inspector Romano and your husband, from what you told me, they're nothing less than heroes. Whoop whoop, a peck? I know, right? Makes your cheeks flush. I stared at Sophia suspiciously. You and Sherlock appear very cozy all of a sudden. You seldom have a good word to say about my husband. Why? Ever since that business last year with Luigi and Renata Amato, I'm practically his #1 fan. Sophia gazed at me with a warm twinkle of affection in her eyes. You're so brave, Neen. I don't know how I would cope if someone took either of my children. Spicy? Yes, indeed. Show me your ankles. If you don't mind, Sophia, I'd prefer not to dwell on what happened. Come, tell me about your holiday. I trust Charlotte conducted herself in an orderly manner? Sophia laughed as we retired to the drawing room arm in arm for what was to be a lengthy heart-to-heart conversation as we caught up on our news. Sophia proceeded to fill me in on all the salacious details about Rhodes and Stefanato's anniversary party, even throwing in a little gossip about her parents' next-door neighbors, the Contis, who were rumored to lead a checkered, unconventional love life in what Sophia described as a marriage of convenience. Oh dear, I seem to have won the race. It was called Boomerang, of course. I won the first. It came back to me. You see, that's how boomerangs work. You start with it at you, and then it goes around and comes back. It's quite magical. Good job, Zarias, on the puzzle. Keep churning away, my good boy. At least they have a love life, I mused, smiling wistfully. Sherlock and I are barely on speaking terms. I think deep down he blames me for Nico's abduction. Sophia turned to me with a puzzled expression. You and your husband have been to hell and back lately. What you need is a welcome distraction to help reignite the flames, and I, your guardian angel, have thought of the ideal solution. Something that will lift everyone's spirits, even the celebrated detectives. Sophia took my hand in hers. My darling, it's plain to see that you have lost all your vigor and high-spiritedness in only a few days. It needs to be revived. I rolled my eyes. Tell me, what madcap scheme have you come up with now? A picnic. I'm sorry? Your love life has fizzled to nothing. I know what will set the tone. A good old picnic. Grab the basket, Neen. It's go time. A picnic, Sophia triumphantly replied. Oh, bugger. Ads are starting soon. Yes, we're not going to finish the chapter by the time the ads have started. So, here's what we're going to do. Goat racing in the park. That would be badass. I'm going to pause my reading. I'm going to run the ads. And then when the ads are done, we'll keep going. So, that's the plan. And in the meantime, I will sippeth the teeth. Ah, think darkness is your right eye. I was born in it. We paid you a small fortune. And you think that has power over me? What happens if I take the mask off? It would be painful for you. Arnold, as in the Terminator, as in Arnold Schwarzenegger, the one and only. The man himself. But the Bane one is fun because of this. So I can do this. Ah, yes. You think darkness is your ally. You were molded by it. But I was born in it. Yes. Mama House Gaming won the race. And now I'm going to read in the voice of Bane. As soon as I remember where we left off. Sophia! Why, I'm sure that's going to drive Sherlock wild with desire. You know, he's not one for dinner parties or social gatherings. I said sarcastically. Sophia furrowed her brow. I know what I'm proposing may appear like a sorry substitute for romance, but I need you to trust me on this one. Wanting more from your relationship is only natural, but any fool can see that Sherlock loves the bones of you. He just needs reminding. I nodded. Yes, I know he does. Sophia, I adore him, but simply loving someone does not guarantee they will be by your side forever. You think that has power over me? Yeah. And then, of course, Gotham. We need to make him wear the mask on truck night. Get out of the way. Right, where were we? Sophia rose from her seat, kissing me on both cheeks. Remember, Neen, I'm always here for you. But I need to go now. There is much preparation to do. What kind of picnic is she conjuring here? Is there a little twister involved? Eh? A spicy picnic. Without uttering another word, I could only watch out of the open window as my best friend ran out of the villa and approached her waiting cab. Reflecting momentarily on our earlier conversation and Sophia's words of wisdom, I leaned out of the window and called her. Wait, Sophia, please wait for a moment. She gazed up at me, furrowing a brow. What is it, my love? You haven't told me the date and the venue of the picnic. Sophia flashed a wiry smile. Why, it's this Sunday, silly, the 1st of July. Have you forgotten it's your birthday? Well, yes, but where? I laughed. Monza. Be ready to travel by train on Saturday. Be sure to pack enough for the weekend. Then, without further ado, Sophia jumped into the cab and headed home, waving to me with a silk handkerchief until the carriage disappeared. That handkerchief has lost all of its silkiness. But that tea is smooth as silk. Feeling lightheaded from the wine, I decided on an early night. I popped around Charlotte's bedroom door to find her sleeping soundly like a baby. She stirred softly as I kissed her goodnight, planting a kiss on the top of her head. Then I checked in on Nico, surprised to see the light under his door reflected from a taper candle. Helen was lying at the foot of the bed, curled up in a ball, and she raised her head, gazing up at me, wagging her tail before rolling over onto her side and continuing her doggy slumber. Nico was lying fast asleep on the bed with a book in his hands. I gently removed the book. The Man in the Iron Mask. I've seen that movie, it was pretty good actually. Before settling on the bed beside my son, stroking his hair and face, and covering him with a fallen blanket. Then, gently cradling his delicate hand in mine, I felt the wondrous sensation of my son's soft skin, his long tapering fingers brushing against the palm of my hand, transfixed by the familiar sight of my sleeping child. Except, Nico was no longer a child. Blowing out the taper candle, I quietly left the room, closing the door behind me. What a short, simple, and yet booming few words. Except Nico was no longer a child. You literally don't have to go into any detail from there. It says it all. What a sad and just insane realization, honestly. It's very well put, Katie. After a leisurely breakfast the following morning, on what was a warm, tranquil summer's day, Charlotte refused Hildegard's invitation to accompany her on a shopping trip into town. Instead, she asked to play in the garden with Helen while Nico retired to his bedroom to resume his studies. I would have preferred Nico get some fresh air like his sister before getting lost in his books, but I decided not to push him on the matter. We had all enjoyed a delightful afternoon at Parco Sempione the day before, where the children ran around together without a care, frolicking in the familiar tranquility of the park, offering much-needed light relief after our recent upheaval. and you are quite welcome. Ooh, dry, winning again. What is this? Winning streaks and all that. Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines. 60 seconds on the clock. Tickety tick tock. I reminisced about my son's eyes alighting with happiness as I busied myself with some paperwork in the study, while Alice and Ginevra cleaned the villa in preparation for Sherlock's return later that afternoon. An hour or so passed when I heard a noise from the inner hallway. The door opened, and I glanced up from my desk expecting to see Sherlock. Instead, I found my daughter's lovely face beaming at me with an air of maturity that didn't quite fit the bedraggled child standing before me with flushed cheeks. Her face, dress, and shoes were muddied from whirling around in the sandpit with Helen. Charlotte indicated the tin of fudge she held. "These are for Nico. I bought them in Rhodes as I know they're his favorite. May I take them to him?" "My brother is tired, so I promise I won't stay long." I beamed at Charlotte. "Yes, of course, but first, we must clean you up. Alice will have a fit if you get mud all over the house." I led my daughter upstairs to our ensuite bathroom, sitting her down on a chair. I washed her, patting her hands, face, and knees with a towel to ensure she was dry. I then brushed her wayward curls into submission before refastening the pink hair ribbon that had fallen loose. Charlotte wrinkled her nose, making faces in the pier glass as I dressed her in a change of clean clothes. "Nico was cross with me this morning," she said. "He refused to come out to play with me and Helen. He said we were too distracting and that I should pay more attention when people are talking to me instead of always having my head in the clouds. He told me many children will never have the things we have and take for granted." Charlotte gave me a wiry smile. With unflinching honesty, she quietly admitted, "Nico's right. I do get distracted sometimes, especially in lessons. It often gets me into trouble with Miss Aiken." I looked down at my beautiful little girl, observing the wisps of hair curling on her forehead, the dimples in her chin, the blue eyes bright as a button, the strange way her lip curled when she was troubled, so reminiscent of her father. Taking her by the hand, I said, "Charlotte, it's true you appear preoccupied at times, but you noticed Nico was tired. When Francesco came to visit recently, you saw him sitting alone in the garden nursing a cut lip. And while the other children continued playing, it was you who came and asked for the medical supplies and comforted him. But let me tell you something, my darling girl. Father, Nico, and I don't ever want you to stop noticing. There's a kindness within you, Charlotte, burning bright. Never let it go out. Never let me win races like that. Never ever. Forever, for never ever." Good luck. As my daughter gazed up at me, her skin glowing and smelling of olive soap, her face broke into a wide grin. I hope she realized, even at such a vulnerable age, that her remarkable empathy towards others had the power to make a difference in this cold, unpredictable world. It was a poignant reminder that in our darkest moments, we were not alone. It's not like we control our marbles, Goofy Man. Or do you? You see, we were all searching for that exceptional person, someone who was conscientious, thoughtful, sensitive, and kind, yearning for them to notice our pain, insecurities, hopes, and fears before those who do, and fears because those who do, like Charlotte and my husband, were a wonder to behold. That was a lovely, poignant moment with my daughter. With the grace of God, there will be more to come in the future. I sincerely hope that in years to come, when Nico and Charlotte remembered their childhood, they would recall that their father and I did everything in our power to give them the best possible start in life. We worried too much, sometimes failed, and did not always get things right. But as loving, devoted parents, we tried our hardest to instill the importance of strong morals, ethics, empathy, integrity, kindness, honesty, and love in our children. Martina Schockermole arrived at 7 p.m. the following evening, joining us for pre-dinner drinks in the drawing room. She was briefly introduced to the children, who, having already eaten, were now safely ensconced in their rooms. Charlotte was fast asleep, while Nico continued studying. Although the children hadn't said much, I believe they were upset about Hildegard's imminent departure, and as a consequence, regarded Martina with some disdain. Martina Schockermole, a dignified, beautiful, striking woman, was immensely popular in her heyday as an accomplished concert pianist, until a sudden illness cut her brilliant career short after the death of her husband, Carl Aiken. Although it was never divulged in the papers what illness had affected her, some say she was suffering from a broken heart. Still, whatever the reason, she never returned to the stage professionally. Still an eye-turner in her mid-50s, Martina was attired in an olive-green silk dress embroidered with cream lace. Her ash-blonde hair, besprinkled grey, was tied up in an elaborate updo. And I must ask for a moment so I can blow my nose. Bloody thing. Thank you. The resemblance to her daughter was extraordinary. They were like peas in a pod, with the same clear blue eyes, lips, nose, exquisite jawline, and swan-like neck. Their verbal exchange was a little strained throughout dinner, leaving me to preempt most of the conversation, as my husband observed Frau Schockermole with a fixed and curious gaze. Sorry, Frau. F-R-A-U. Sherlock had asked to speak to Martina earlier in his study, a private conversation that lasted at most 5 minutes. When Martina eventually emerged from the encounter, she appeared somewhat flustered, but she managed to compose herself before we retired to the living room. The dining room. After dinner, sitting at the piano, Martina entertained us with a repertoire of classical music, including beautiful renditions of some of Chopin's preludes, before Sherlock and I discreetly returned to the lounge, leaving mother and daughter free to speak confidentially. Sherlock poured us both a glass of brandy before lighting a cigar. It was a tranquil evening, so we decided to take our drinks outside to the garden. Things were still strained between us. My husband occupied the guest bedroom as he had done since Nico disappeared. His excuse then was that he was barely sleeping and had no wish to disturb me. We sat in silence for a while, taking in the night air, with the sound of the night jars and the muted noises of the servants going about their chores in the background. Taking a sip from my glass, I stared at my husband with an air of curiosity. Martina appeared a little perturbed after your private conversation earlier. I hope you didn't upset our guest. Sherlock smiled, leaning back in his chair and stretching his long legs. I merely questioned the lady on her earlier life at the Royal Academy of Music in London, where she was awarded a full scholarship. Nothing sinister, I can assure you. I was merely showing a friendly interest in our esteemed guest. Why would you do that in private, though, Sherlock? Surely that could be a casual conversation with the group. I quirked a brow. I'm not buying that for a second. Sherlock laughed. He was about to say something else when we were disturbed by Hildegard and Martina coming to join us in the garden, and from the smiles on their faces, they were now far more relaxed in each other's company. Sherlock ushered the ladies towards a seat. "Okay, well done. You winner with the chicken dinner." Renato, what is your country of birth? So I was born in the UK. Stayed there till I was 16, and then moved here. And I've been here ever since. I did go visit the UK to see some family. I had a cousin that got married, but that was just a short 1-week trip. Karma, hello. Welcome to the stream. We're in the UK. So I was born in Durham, and then I lived in a place called Lancashire for a while. And that's where I started in Durham, went to Lancashire, went back to Durham for a little while, went back to Lancashire, and then from there moved to the States. I graduated high school, took my GCSEs, and then said, peace, I'm out. So, yeah. That was the thing. And I do believe I've lost my place. Oh no. Dry's looking at the commands. I hope you don't mind, Hildegard said, but my mother and I have reached an understanding, so if it's acceptable to you, Signor and Signora Sapori, we plan to travel back to Germany tomorrow. Under the circumstances, I think it would be best for everyone. This way, I will have the chance of a fresh start. I will miss you all, especially the children, but I promise to stay in touch and visit whenever possible. I'm from Lancashire. I live in Fieldy Coast, so I was in Leyland. I went to Preston a lot, but I lived and went to school in Leyland. So yeah, small world, even smaller country.
Let me see what you have.
Mama House Gaming. My tattoo. Hold on. Sexy arm. Stop it. I was born in Preston and worked in Leyland back in the day. No kidding. What a funny thing. I went to Wellfield High School. So yeah. But I don't have dual citizenship anymore. I wish. The tattoo is just a nice reminder or a story to tell of being born there and living here. When I became an American, I had to give up my citizenship with the UK, which really stunk. They didn't give me an option. They didn't ask if I wanted to keep it. I think it was something to do with how we were coming to the States. I was too young at the time, so I don't know. I was only 16, just a young lad. I didn't really know much about it. Flex it, baby. Do you remember the Leyland Tiger? No. I don't think. That doesn't ring a bell. But to be fair, that was a long time ago. I've lived here longer than I've lived there now at this point. So, yeah. But man, when I went back for a week for my cousin's wedding, I was in Yorkshire for that part of it. But I did come back to Leyland for a day to catch up with some friends and just revisit the area. And man, God, nostalgia, you know? Just, it made me so homesick. It was a good and bad thing all at the same time. Night Marcher. What's up, sir? It was a cabaret club, very good, likely closed down now. Yeah, I can't say it rings a bell, but yeah. Mama, can we please get a shout out for the Night Marcher? He's a cool dude. He's cool, man. He's cool. Right. Where were we? Oh, yeah. Stay in touch and visit whenever possible. Bookfather, you flexing made you look sexier, hubbub. I wasn't flexing. I was just turning my arm so you could see the tattoo. Calm down, Rexter. Take some deep breaths, buddy. You'll be okay. I rose from my chair and hugged Hildegard, delighted that she was finally reunited with a mother and close family. Sherlock nodded, turning his attention to Martina. It has been an absolute pleasure to meet you, Frau Schockermole. The Sapori family wishes you and your daughter all the best for the future. Martina's face broke into a wide grin. Thank you. That is most kind of you, Signor Sapori. I would like to thank you and your wife for your kind hospitality this evening. and for taking such good care of my daughter. After my husband Carl died, it was lonely at times. So this reconciliation means a great deal to me and my beloved daughter. Hopefully, we can both learn from our past mistakes. I'm sorry for your loss, I said. You and your husband were together for a long time? Indeed, we were, Martina said, a whimsical smile appearing on her face at the memory. We married in my hometown of Frankfurt, after what my mother described as a whirlwind romance. It was a beautiful ceremony on my 21st birthday at St. Paul's Church, the same year I returned from the Royal Academy of Music. She laughed. Carl and his parents were old friends of the family. My late mother, God bless her soul, couldn't help but play matchmaker. So my parents invited Carl to dinner, hoping that a romantic liaison might develop between us. Having not seen him for 3 years, I was a little apprehensive. He was even more handsome than I remembered, and I saw him in a new light. Indeed, our first meeting, to my mother's delight, was akin to love at first sight. Carl was 8 years older than me and quite a catch as a successful criminal defense attorney. He was a good husband and a wonderful father to Hildegard, our firstborn child, and our 2 sons. She sighed. Sherlock rose from his chair. Pray, allow me to replenish your drinks. I stared at my husband as he approached the drawing room and went to fetch the wine. All will be revealed later, trust me, he whispered, with a glint in his eye that was all too familiar. Sherlock returned a few minutes later with a silver tray holding 2 glasses of wine and an envelope that he'd handed to a puzzled Hildegard. Your birth certificate and references, he explained. You will likely need them should you decide to accept another position. I have included a reference from me and my wife in the hope it will stand you in good stead for future employers. Hildegard nodded gratefully. Thank you so much. Your kindness and generosity have touched and humbled me. I'm excited about returning to Frankfurt, but Milan will always hold a special place in my heart. Sherlock raised his glass. A toast, ladies, to new beginnings. Which is funny because that's the end of the chapter. Well done, Night Marcher. You have successfully won the race. But can you do more? My God, we're only pages away from the end. I'm still reeling from the guns coming out. Trauma. I need a drink. Well, bottoms up. Let's just see. What do we...
Noise.
Hi, Gemma. Oh, Gemma. Do exclamation point Gemma. Really? I even set it to your name. Good grief. Hold on.
What's this? What's this? What's this? What's this? What's this? What's this?
I tell you, chatbot sometimes just want to wring its neck. Okay. Welcome in, Gemma. It's lovely. Mrs. Gemma, everybody. Let's not forget, Gemma just got married. She's off the market. So stop looking. Chapter 45. Nin Adler's perspective. Fantasmi del passato. Ghosts of the past. Oh boy. What do I feel like we're going to end this story on a bit of a what? The following day, I awoke early and came downstairs to discover Sherlock napping on the Chesterfield in his study. I gazed at my sleeping husband, resisting the urge to touch his handsome face, pondering if he would ever kiss me again. Oh dear. There we go. Sherlock opened one eye as he noticed me approaching. Ah, you're awake then. When was the last time you got a decent night's sleep? Perhaps you might rest easier in the matrimonial bed. I cuttingly remarked, placing a cup of coffee beside him. I wasn't asleep, just resting my eyes. He answered sheepishly, pointing to an unfinished letter and pen on the bureau nearby. I have some letters to post this morning, and I owe my brother a telegram. It's such a splendid day, he said, gazing at the sun streaming in through the open window. I thought I would take the children to Parco Sempione at the same time. It's a place that never fails to delight. I smiled at him through gritted teeth. That would be lovely. I shall ask Ginevra to prepare the children for the outing. It will be a welcome distraction for Nico and Charlotte. They have been rather quiet since Hildegard and her mother left yesterday. Who's the letter for? Why, it's for Martha Hudson. Sherlock abruptly replied. It's merely a note to keep her abreast of events and set her mind at ease. You know how much she adores the children. Oh, sorry, I didn't realize Martha was aware of Nico's abduction. Oh, shit. Here it comes. I stared at him, perplexed, feeling somewhat aggrieved. Having agreed to keep Nico's abduction a secret, I was somewhat surprised at my husband's declaration. At Sherlock's insistence, and for our son's safety, I haven't been able to confide in my dear friends, Violetta, Ava, Sophia, and my cousin Estelle, at a time when I really could have used a close female confidant. I asked my brother to inform Mrs. Hudson. After all, Martha and I go back a long way. Why, I've known her longer than you. Sherlock paused for a moment, observing my shocked expression. Are we to have an altercation? He asked, a deep furrow etched on his brow. I shook my head. No, not at all, but perhaps you should have married Martha instead of me. Why, the woman is practically half in love with you. Oh. Here it comes. She pissed. She is pissed. This is going to get interesting. As I turned on my heels and headed towards the door, seething inside, I turned, determined to have the last word, only to find my husband, seemingly unfazed by my outburst, doubled over, quivering with laughter. You aren't jealous of Mrs. Hudson? He paused momentarily, as those penetrating eyes twinkled with a look of amusement I hadn't witnessed in a while. Admittedly, she does serve a rather stellar breakfast. he said, smiling. You're not funny, Sherlock. I fumed, although I couldn't help laughing, observing his ludicrous expression. I fail to see why Martha Hudson would be interested in me. I'm not in the least interested in her. Well, certainly not in a romantic way. I nodded resignedly. All right, I may have exaggerated. I find it disconcerting that you pay your London housekeeper more attention than your wife. I heaved a sigh. You know how much I admire Martha. The poor woman deserves a medal for looking after you and Dr. Watson all those years. Sherlock smiled, raising a brow. You raise a valid point, Neen. As for my infidelity, well, I hope you know that's a ridiculous notion. Cheating on you would be tantamount to committing grand larceny. Anyway, I need you by my side. Who else is going to remind me of my shortcomings? You and I are destined to grow old and fat together. I refuse to do either, I said, staring at him in mock indignation. My husband's face softened as he gazed at me. Your presence on the marriage bed has sorely been missed, Neen. Likewise, I answered shyly, fighting a blush. My heart beat wildly as the fervor of my feelings, my deep, abiding love for this man, claimed mastery over my emotions. I'm sorry if I've been distracted lately, but there has been much to attend to. He sighed. To be honest, I don't think I could survive another night in the guest room. That lumpy mattress has seen better days. You sure know how to flatter a woman, Mr. Holmes. My words were caught short as my husband suddenly strode purposefully towards me, drawing me to him in a sweeping gesture. His hands circled my waist as he leaned in for a lingering kiss that left me breathless. Our loving embrace was suddenly interrupted by Charlotte calling out to us from the inner hallway. Later, Sherlock whispered. His eyes crinkled as he tenderly placed his hand on my face, stroking my cheek, chuckling over my look of frustration. You need to know that I consider you my equal in every way. I have never hidden the deep regard I hold in you. I hold you in. So if I have done or said anything to make you feel otherwise, please forgive me. You have my word that I will find a way to make amends. You'd better, I whispered, my eyes misting over as I kissed my husband on the lips. With the assistance of the servants, I organized an intimate dinner for later that evening, to be served after Nico and Charlotte retired to their rooms, both utterly exhausted from their exertions earlier at the park. While Sherlock was busy in his study, Alice prepared a splendid joint of lamb, rosemary potatoes, and parsnips. The food smelled divine as it roasted in the oven. Sherlock uncorked a bottle of Valpolicella. It's a bottle. It has liquid in it. A prestigious wine from the Veneto region we'd been saving for a special occasion. This evening was special for both of us for obvious reasons I won't dwell upon. Or will I? Over dinner, Sherlock and I chatted at length. We agreed that Nico's abduction had been complex, terrifying, and unpredictable. The experience brought us face to face with our vulnerabilities in a way that had previously been alien to us, giving us a fresh perspective on life. Above all, the experience reminded us to reflect and be grateful for the simple yet essential things many of us take for granted. And with that in mind, and the safety of our beloved children, Sherlock and I agreed to bring forward our trip to America We would leave Milan the second week in August, giving the family time to settle in and adapt to our new surroundings. We asked Ginevra to accompany us, leaving Alice to look after the villa and Helen until we returned the following summer. I hated the thought of leaving our family pet behind, but according to my cousin Estelle, many cases of rabies were reported in the USA that year, so I decided to err on the side of caution. The children would be distraught if anything happened to their beloved dog. Estelle had written to us a few days earlier with good news to convey. She had discovered a private tutor experienced in the rigors of the Harvard entrance exam with a 99% success rate of admissions. Not that our son needed such help. But I figured it was better to be safe than sorry. Mama House Gaming coming in with the win. You might be on par to be the number one podium seat, madam. Quite fitting on Mother's Day as well. "60 seconds on the clock. Good luck." Nico was hell-bent on being accepted into the prestigious institution. It meant everything to him, and after all our son had endured these past few weeks, how could we deny him that? It was the least he deserved. After much deliberation, Sherlock and I agreed Charlotte was far too young to be sent away to boarding school, so we enrolled her at a private day school in Trenton, New Jersey. The Woodland School for Girls, which Estelle advised, had an exemplary reputation, where she was certain Charlotte would continue to thrive and be able to see her brother during weekends and the holidays. I knew the children would be excited when we explained our trip had been expedited. Like me, they looked forward to starting our new life and reuniting with Estelle and their cousins. After dinner, we retired to the drawing room. The house was deadly quiet, the children both fast asleep, while Alice and Ginevra, having waited on us earlier, had now left for the evening. Sherlock poured us a glass of port as we listened to the French. Good God, that scared the hell out of me. Nerd Theory. Thanks for the follow. Whew. It just felt so sudden and abrupt. It's quite shocking, actually. Completely lost my place. Yes. The house was deadly quiet, the children both fast asleep, while Alice and Ginevra, having waited on us earlier, had now left for the evening. Sherlock poured us a glass of port as we listened to the French composer Delibes' opera L'Acme, playing on the gramophone. We danced, our bodies swaying in the rhythm to the beautiful, haunting melodies of the music. The wine, the general ambiance, my husband's subtle cologne, and the feel of his body so close to mine were intoxicating. "I know it's late," I said, "but can we go outside? I'd rather like to see the sunset." Sherlock smiled, nodding in agreement. "Whatever you want." He took my glass and ushered me outside onto the balcony. We sat comfortably in 2 wicker chairs. Sherlock gently took my hand. I'm unsure what I've enjoyed more this evening, the wonderful food or the stellar company. My goal is to ensure your happiness. I would do anything in my power to do that. So I need to know how you feel about our relationship. What do you need from me? She's like, sex. I stared at him searchingly, meditating for a moment as I chose my words carefully. Brown chicken, brown cow. First, I want my life back with you and the children. Remember how we were before all this madness? I miss that. I miss us. So I want slow dances to Strauss and Chopin. Moments like this together under a moonlight night and a starry sky. I want all of that. But more than this, I need to know if you still love me. Sherlock sighed as I stared at him anxiously. You know I do. In the same way, I'm certain you feel the same about me. I know I wasn't your first, but you are mine in every way that matters. Although, what I'm about to tell you, you may feel that I am no longer worthy. Promise me you'll hear me out before you jump to conclusions. Oh, here we go. Oh, my love, I'd promise you anything. Pray tell me what's on your mind. What's troubling you? When Martina Schockermole came to dinner that night, you asked me a question which I failed to answer, as I was not entirely certain of the facts. Sherlock sighed. But now, a telegram I received from my brother earlier today only confirmed what I already suspected. And what did you suspect? Pausing for dramatic effect. Sherlock hesitated for a moment, and his voice sank almost to a whisper as he said, There is no easy way for me to tell you this, but Hildegard Aiken is Jack Stapleton's daughter. Fuck. Damn. That's a blow. I fell back in my chair, staring at my husband aghast. But surely that cannot be. Hildegard even considered marrying the man until she came to her senses. Man, you have a potty mouth tonight? Well, with news like that, come on. She almost married her dad? That's weird. Sherlock topped up my glass, squeezing my hand as he continued his narrative. Thankfully, Hildegard Aiken has no clue who her biological father is, and I think we should keep it that way. Can you imagine the fallout if she discovered her real father was a narcissistic, murdering psychopath, immortalized in one of my most infamous cases? But, Sherlock, surely Martina Schockermole must have been aware of Stapleton's real identity before she embarked on a personal relationship with him, and later discovered she was with child. Well done, Dry. I do believe this is the last race. Do your best. And good luck. Well, hello, Heidi. On mobile, but wanted to say hi. Well, thank you so much. 'Tis a pleasure. My husband shook his head. No, Neen, on the contrary. The man she knew and fell in love with back in her university days was a fellow student from the University College of London, where he was studying botany under Professor Daniel Oliver, who just happens to be an old acquaintance of my brother. At my request, Mycroft got in touch with Professor Oliver, who, having checked the academic records, was able to confirm that Jack Vandeleur enrolled at the university in 1869, graduating 3 years later in 1872, the same year as Martina Schockermole. Although they studied at separate learning establishments, Professor Oliver remembered Valdelor very well. He described him to my brother as an exemplary student, but a man of singular mind, willing to do anything to get to the top of his class, even if it meant ostracizing his fellow students in the process. It was rumored that he cheated on the final exams, although that was never proven, and Valdelor subsequently graduated from college with a 2.1. But how can you be sure it was him? His relationship with Martina appears tenacious at best. Sherlock looked at me grim-faced. Stapleton and Martina Stokermole were seen together at public events, student gatherings, and similar places. It was well known they had embarked on a love affair that only ended when Martina's father traveled to England shortly after his daughter graduated to take her back to Frankfurt, and in doing so, likely saved her from a fate worse than death. But how can you know if the child was Stapleton's? Martina told us she and Carl married later the same year. The lady in question graduated in June 1872. She arrived back in Frankfurt in July of that year, and married a month later in what appeared to be a rushed affair, akin to a union compelled by circumstance. I took the liberty of inspecting Hildegard Aiken's birth certificate before handing it back to her. The young lady was born on the 1st of November, 1872, only 4 months after her mother returned from London. There is no doubt in my mind Martina was carrying Stapleton's child. Of course, it was all hushed up by Martina's parents, who hurriedly married their daughter off to a friend of the family, the legal advocate Carl Aiken, who had always held a torch for their daughter. With the added incentive of a large dowry, Aiken agreed to claim the child as his own. Consequently, no one was the wiser. Martina Stokermole, of course, had no way of knowing the true identity of her lover, the father of her child. What did you say to her during your private conversation the other night? I merely asked her if she had come into contact with Jack Vandeleur while she was at university, explaining that his father was an old friend of the family. I hated having to lie, but I needed to get to the truth. And how did Martina respond? She admitted they were friends, but nothing more. But I could tell from her expression that she was concealing the truth, and to be honest, who could blame her? The Stokermole family's reputation would be in tatters if the public and press ever got wind of the sordid affair. And that's why you decided not to mention anything to either of them? Exactly, Sherlock said. Stapleton has ruined enough lives. May his dirty secret march with him straight to hell. I'm sorry I couldn't tell you before, but I had to establish the facts, which were all there if only I had noticed them earlier. I can't believe I misread all the signs. Such as? I pressed. The look of astonishment on Stapleton's face when he met Miss Aiken in the library wasn't contrived. He was genuinely shocked by the staggering likeness of his ex-paramour, Martina Stokermole, and the young lady he had just met in an extraordinary twist of fate. I don't believe that meeting was premeditated in any way. And, of course, Stapleton's interest in our newly appointed governess suddenly piqued after discovering her mother's identity. He realized without a shadow of a doubt, and by merely asking a few simple questions, that Miss Aiken was his daughter. Discovering her impending employment with the Sapori family was the icing on the cake. I'll bet Stapleton could hardly believe his good fortune. Of course, that's why his ardor cooled, and he refused to make love to her. Thank God Stapleton didn't add incest to his list of crimes. He spared his daughter that at least. although he did callously use the poor girl to play out his cruel deception. Average. Well done, sir. We have an ad starting in like 20-some seconds. But I'm going to snooze it. We're almost to the end of the chapter. Then we'll run the ads. I froze for a moment, my breath catching as Sherlock's words settled like a wet stone in the stillness of the room. My grip on the back of the chair before me, my knuckles whitening as though the sturdy wicker beneath my hands could anchor against the sudden torrent of emotions. A shiver passed through me, and I sank into the chair with a grace that belied the turmoil within. Belied the turmoil within. My head bent, looking at the floor, brow furrowed, lips parted slightly as if forming questions I could not yet voice. For what seemed an eternity, I could not raise my head, with thoughts racing through memories of the quiet, composed governess, now reframed in the shadow of this revelation. Hildegard, Jack Stapleton's daughter, I whispered, the words scarcely audible, as if by speaking them aloud I risked empowering them. Then, almost imperceptibly, I raised my head, turning my attention back to Sherlock, my eyes now wide open with incredulity and disbelief. Hildegard confided she almost became intimate with him. It does not bear thinking about. It's almost too horrific to contemplate such an action. Ever composed, Sherlock observed my reaction with calm of a man accustomed to delivering earth-shattering truths. Yet even he seemed to pause due to my sudden shock at what had been revealed, his still grey eyes softening for a moment as he looked at me so tenderly and lovingly, almost as though he was trying to calm me hypnotically before he replied. Yes, he had some kind of feeling for her. His one show of remorselessness, no doubt triggered by his impending death. He begged me to protect his child because he knew I would figure it out given time. Sherlock, I think what you did was an extremely kind and noble gesture. You have been nothing less than spectacular throughout this madness, and I love you for that. Sherlock smiled at me with a light in his eyes that spoke volumes. You know I'm no expert on the affairs of the heart, but I have learned that a woman can't change a man no matter how much she cares for him. A man changes himself because of his love for the woman. Perhaps Stapleton should have taken heed of Oscar Wilde's quotation. Be yourself. Everyone else is already taken. Not to mention the situation could have been avoided. I took his hand. Come, let's go upstairs. I've missed my empty space. Let me show you how much you mean to me. And that concludes chapter 45. So now I will run the ads. So we shall not be interrupted. That's some good tea. Oh boy. We have one chapter left. Just one. And then, of course, there's an epilogue, but for the sake of stream, we'll end it on the chapter ending, and then we'll go from there. We do know that KD is writing another book after this one, book 5, which will take place in America, which is where they're moving to. And I'm very much looking forward to when it comes out. As soon as the ad's over, we'll see who won the Grand Prix. And then we'll read the last chapter. Hans Urban. Rating with a party of 7. Thank you so much for rating. Hello. We're in ads. What is going on? Thumper. 76. I like that. Hello. Well, everybody, welcome. So great to see you. What do I owe the pleasure? Thank you so much for rating
So
in.
like, what the hell is going on over there?
Oh, I'm sure mine are probably about to call the cops. Thin walls and a single wide. Very thin walls.
Very thin walls. Thank you so much for rating in. I'm genuinely shocked. I am a reading streamer, voice actor, and then once a week we also play games. Just for the fun. But thank you for the follow, Tricky Vic. Appreciate that. We're just figuring out who won our Grand Prix of marble races. Looks like Kay took 3rd place. Well done. Who came in 2nd? Me. I came in 2nd. Can't stick around, but love your voice. Good night. Have a great stream. Well, thank you very much. Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays is when I'm generally live. Sundays and Tuesdays, we read books. And on Thursdays, we play a game. You were reading as well. Oh, awesome. Dry. Good job. You took the win. Let me drop a follow, because I would like to check out some of this reading. Where did Thumper go? Sometimes it's good to come in 2nd. It is, and I have no problems with that. Followed. Awesome. Thank you so much, both of you, for coming in. We read spicy books usually on Saturdays. Ah, so you co-read. That's awesome. We've read our fair share of spicy books on this stream. Yes, we have. Lately, though, it's been a bit more low-key, and that's been okay. But, yeah, so just to kind of give you a kind of a breakdown of how it goes here, I read from authors that are still breathing. I don't read ahead any of the work that I pick up. So like Lady Alpha K in chat there, she's an author that we have read from.
Yeah, hi. We've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty. Car's extended warranty.
Thank you for that. Thank you for the follow. Hans Urban. So yeah, I never read ahead. So like, we've got one more chapter left in this book. I have no idea what's in it. Thank you as well, Thumper. I appreciate that. So I talk to the author if I like the back of the book, because that's the only thing I read, just like anybody else. We talk and we chat, and if they're cool with me reading their book, then I promote it and I read it on stream. And we just take our time and have fun with it. But yeah, I never read ahead. I have no idea what is going to happen in the story. So everything that chat hears I'm also reading for the first time, and it's kind of fun. It does mean that I mess up people's lines sometimes, because I think it's one person talking, but it's somebody else. But it's all a good time. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. But thank you. I'm so glad to meet some more readers on Twitch. That's great. I look forward to finding you guys and taking a look. That's really cool. On that note, oh, and then of course down below you can see I do marble Grand Prix races.
More!
How dare you be human? I'm so sorry. Yeah, we do marble races, and then I also offer an online jigsaw puzzle for anyone that feels like jumping in and putting a few pieces together. So it's a good time.
Is it hot in here? Are you hot? I mean, you are hot. I mean...
It is. I mean, it was a little warm today. Yeah. I've never read spicy books ever until now, let alone read a book since high school, so there's a lot of blushing from me when I read certain scenes. You'll be fine. It's a good time. I've also been reading in Discord the Fourth Wing series of books. We're on book number 3, Onyx Storm, right now. So I'm reading that to a private group, because obviously I can't read it on stream because I'd get in trouble. But so yeah, it's all straight face from me. I just power through. I kind of have to be like that because on the side I do voice work, and sometimes audio dramas that I get placed in can certainly have some je ne sais quoi. I actually don't know what that means. But yeah, you get the point. So I still have to act professional. So I try to do that here as well. But hey, welcome in. Thank you so much. If you have to raid and run, I totally get it. We're gonna finish off this amazing story. Award-winning, by the way. ! Revenge. If you want to learn more about this book and the author. And then yes, after that, puppy time, because we just got a new puppy today. All right, chapter 46 is from Neen Adler's perspective. Giornata perfetta, or perfect day. Yes, puppers. 2 deliveries arrived the next morning, shortly after breakfast, both from Enrico Caruso. The first was a parcel addressed to Nico, wrapped in brown paper, which I later discovered from my excited son was 2 of the maestro's recordings, including a signed copy of Enrico's celebrated duet with the baritone Antonio Scotti. The second delivery, addressed to me, was a dazzling bouquet of pink roses. Each delicate bloom was perfectly formed, creating a harmonious blend of pink shades. Sprigs of baby's breath were also beautifully wrapped in satin ribbon. I read the handwritten note attached to the card. Greetings, Neen. A little bird told me you will not be at home this weekend to celebrate your birthday, so I'm sending these flowers early. I hope you like them. I'm sorry I can't be with you to celebrate. Instead, to mark the occasion, I shall light a cigar and pour myself a large glass of the finest Tuscan wine while playing my favorite recording on the gramophone, a piece very close to my heart. Midar du Eder and Cora from Bizet, the Pearl Fisher, which I'm sure you remember I recorded in April 1904, accompanied by my dear friend Salvatore Cotone. After Hours Broalition, Rhino. What up, man? Hey, Rhino, can you jump in the puzzle and finish off what one of your brothers started, aka Zarias? That'd be swell. The poor guy. He doesn't know how to do the rest after the border's done. Then, singing along in my native Italian, I shall raise a toast for the Sapori family. I salute you all. Buon mor. Enrico. Ginevra and I had just finished putting the blooms in water when we were disturbed by a knock at the front door. Alice ushered Salvatore into the drawing room, carrying a box of books for the children, a gift from him and Katerina. I kissed Salvatore lightly on the cheek, inviting him to take a seat and join me for morning coffee. Sherlock went to the library earlier this morning with the children, but he won't be there long if you want to wait for him. Salvatore shook his head. No, thank you, Nina. I'll catch up with your husband later. I just came to deliver the books and say goodbye. Sadly, I can't make the trip your friend Sophia organized. I'm caught up in what may prove to be another difficult case. Oh, that's a shame. I hope Katerina and the children are still coming. We're all looking forward to seeing them. Yes, of course. They wouldn't miss it for the world. Salvatore leaned forward in his seat, staring at me curiously. Your husband told me your trip to the USA will be brought forward? Yes, that's right, but we're not going until the second week in August. I will return to Milan next summer to honor my commitment to La Scala. You don't get rid of me that easily. I laughed. Salvatore nodded, giving me a forlorn smile. That's good to hear, although I'm unsure if I'll still be here. This could be my last roll of the dice. Why? Where are you going? Please tell me you're not moving away. Salvatore shook his head. No, nothing like that. He paused for a moment. I have a heart condition. Angina. I take medication, but the symptoms have been steadily getting worse. The doctors told me I need to take it easy and cut down on the drink and tobacco. Does Sherlock know? Salvatore laughed. Of course he does. I didn't need to tell the great detective. Working together in such proximity, he noticed all the telltale signs. Shortness of breath, restlessness, and unexplained sweating. Apart from my doctor, you and your husband, and Katerina, are the only ones who know. So I've decided to take early retirement, citing health grounds. I was about to give notice to my superiors when your son was kidnapped, so I've been putting it off until I knew Nico was safe. I would love to travel and see more of the world before I meet my maker. You never know. I could bring Katerina and the children to visit you in America. My wife always had a penchant to visit New York. I'm so sorry, Salvatore. I had no idea. Sherlock never mentioned anything. Oh, that's because I asked him not to. We both agreed you had quite enough to deal with. Blinking back tears, I stepped forward and threw my arms around this remarkable man who had been prepared to put his life on hold to find our son. Don't worry, I'm not dead yet. There's still life in the old dog, Salvatore said, his mood suddenly turning somber. But when the inevitable occurs, I want you to promise me that you'll keep in touch with Katerina and the children. They all adore you. Yes, of course, Salvatore, you have my word. But you better not go yet. When you roll the dice, sometimes you get 2 6s. I will do my best. He smiled. The doctors said I'm not in any immediate danger, and who knows, with rest and a healthier lifestyle, I could still be around to annoy people in years to come. So, I intend to make the most of my time I have left. I pray you do. I insist on it. Thank you, Nin. Before I go, I want to let you know that I love you. Yes, I know, I beamed. I love you too, you and your wonderful family. Salvatore stared at me with a burning intensity. I don't think you quite understand, Nin. Ti amerò per sempre. I love you forever. Salvatore held up his hand as I was about to protest, chuckling at my shocked expression. Please, don't be concerned. This is no indecent proposal. I realize that nothing could ever happen between us. For one, I have too much respect for your husband, and two, I love my wife dearly. I would never dream of being unfaithful to Katarina. Then what is this declaration? I'm unsure, he shrugged. But what I do know is that it's not a physical thing. I've never been a particularly sexual animal, but one day in another life, one way your husband and Katarina don't live, perhaps something might develop between us. He raised a brow, staring at me searchingly. I slowly shook my head. Oh, Salvatore, I'm so sorry, but I would never want to live in a world without Sherlock and my children. They have brought so much joy into my life. They are my everything. But in the future, if such a world exists, then who knows what might happen? In the meantime, I hope you and your family can be as happy as this cruel world allows. Before you go, I want to thank you again for your loyal friendship and service, which were instrumental in finding our son. You have been a godsend to me and Sherlock. Salvatore pulled a handkerchief from his pocket, wiping away a tear. Thank you for trusting me. This means I retain your friendship, and that's the most important thing to me. We held each other in a poignant moment between two close friends, and then I kissed him gently, as though I never expected to see him again. I could sense he knew it. At that moment, I wanted to bundle him and Katerina up in some Dickensian liberation and convey them far away to a safe and illness-free place. I waited until Salvatore left the villa before retiring to my bedroom. I sat on the bed, trying to come to terms with our conversation, finally allowing the tears to flow, my sobs shaking my whole body, praying to God that our dear friend would somehow survive his ordeal. Sherlock and I would miss Salvatore hugely should the unthinkable happen. Later, managing to compose myself, I washed my face and applied a little makeup before Sherlock and the children returned. I was busy packing in preparation for our weekend away in the beautiful city of Monza, a 16-mile trip by train from Milano Central. We would embark on our journey late Saturday afternoon, arriving at our destination in time for dinner at one of the oldest and most historic hotels in Monza, the Eden Savoy Hotel. Apart from our traveling arrangements, that was all the information I was privy to. I was intrigued about what to expect, especially since Sherlock was collaborating on some sort of surprise with me with Sophia's help. I was pleased they were getting along much better, and wondered where my birthday picnic would occur. Still, it was a welcome distraction from Salvatore's grim prognosis and the past few days' events, and I was looking forward to spending time with Sophia, Katerina, and their families. Little did I know what delights were to come. We eventually arrived at our destination at 6 p.m. on Saturday. Sherlock insisted on footing the bill for our entire party. After an early dinner, the children retired to bed, tired but happy and supervised by Ginevra, who had accompanied us on the trip. Sophia, Katerina, and I entered the plush grandeur of the hotel cocktail bar, where the hotel manager invited me to play the grand piano, to which I happily agreed. Accompanied by Sophia, we got through a treasure trove of catchy melodies from Carmen and our favorite operas. Judging by the applause from the appreciative audience, it appeared to be theirs too. Afterwards, we laughed and joked, putting the world to rights. We quaffed several glasses of champagne while entertained by Sophia, who could always be relied upon for a salacious gossip. How we laughed at her outlandish stories. I was glad to see Katerina enjoying the evening. We had a private conversation earlier, during which I offered my unwavering support and told her Sherlock and I would always be there if she needed help in the future. As gracious as ever, Katerina, wearing a black silk evening gown that enhanced her slender figure, hugged me tightly, thanked me for our support, and said it was good to see me smile again. During this time, Sherlock and Robert Moon excused themselves away from an excitable gaggle of women, indulging their bohemian tendencies in the more congenial and amenable space of the hotel smoking lounge. We slept well that night and awoke to a bright new day on Sunday morning. After showering and changing into a yellow bustled dress and a feathered-topped hat, we took the children downstairs to find the hotel already thronged with visitors. Having consumed an early breakfast of freshly baked bread, pastries, and seasonal fruits, our party of 12, making good use of the horse-drawn trams, ventured out to explore the beautiful city of Monza. Our first port of call was the cathedral, the Basilica of San Giovanni. We arrived in time to join the morning service, which was about to start. A seminarium ushered us down the center aisle towards our seats in the chancels. I can't word with the words and speak and stuff. The priest gave a stirring sermon about the church's allegiance to the poor and the sick. We sang along to the hymns Adoro te devote and Te Deum. After the service, Sherlock placed some silver into the collection plate, and we continued to explore the cathedral's treasures, which were famous for its frescoes and bell tower, the Duomo of Monza. After taking in the historical side of the city, I was thrilled to discover that Sophia and my husband had organized my birthday picnic in the beautiful grounds of Monza Park, with food and drink provided by a local restaurant. The park, Parco di Monza, steeped in history, was commissioned by Napoleon's stepson, Eugene de Beauharnais. Sure, we'll go with that. During the French occupation of northern Italy, as an extension of the garden of his royal palace. And it was quite an extension. The royal villas of Monza was the true jewel of Lombardy, where locals and tourists alike relaxed in nature, enjoyed sports, and visited the many cultural treasures in its vast green space. As we approached the picnic area, all eyes were drawn to the three figures emerging from the woodland area. I gasped in shock at the familiar sight of my dear friends, Ava, Violetta, and Francesco Espirito, as they strolled towards the picnic area, beaming from ear to ear. I ran towards my friends, embracing Ava and Violetta in a warm hug, chuckling as Francesco quickly pecked me on the cheek and then suddenly bolted. "Nico! Charlotte, you are here!" an excited Francesco exclaimed as we spotted both of them. Violetta, Ava, and I laughed and chatted together. "But how did you know?" I asked. Violetta took my hand and smiled at me. "Sophia and Sherlock invited us. We know you have all been through a great deal recently, but today is a celebration as your close friends join you in this enjoyable social gathering. Happy birthday, my dear. Ava and I have your gift at the hotel. We will, of course, present it to you later. But for now, I think we should celebrate this wonderful event with a large glass of wine. What do you say? Absolutely, I said, linking my arms around both ladies as we made our way to the picnic area. I gazed up at my husband as he handed me a flute. Thank you for organizing this and inviting my friends. Why, it's perfect. You're welcome, he said, kissing me gently. We sat on the picnic benches and blankets, chatting while consuming the delicious, freshly baked loaves, cold cuts, cheese pastries, sweet bread, and fresh fruit on the glorious afternoon. The ladies shielded themselves with parasols as the afternoon sun beat down. As a special treat, Sophia had organized the hire of bicycles for the children to explore the grounds. Sherlock told them to keep their eyes peeled to spot the wildlife known to populate the area. The children set off with skittish energy like pigeons being released from a coop, calling out to each other as they pedaled furiously around the area, pointing out the various squirrels and follows. I'm just kidding. Tina Bug, thank you for the follow. Hello. Welcome in. The various squirrels, rabbits, and ducks they spotted along the way. We erupted with laughter as Charlotte's short legs were pumping as fast as they could, struggling to keep up with the others, her face rosy red from her exertions, as she had a determined expression, always unafraid to compete with any boy. My heart melted as Francesco, this fine young man of charming character. 14 cookies and cream. Thank you very much for the follow. Only 14? I mean, why not make it 15? I'm just saying. But 14's a good number. It sounds like a nice arrangement of cookies. A charming character turned his bicycle around, patiently waiting for his friend. A broad smile of affection and empathy infused on his handsome face. Come on, Charlie, follow me. We'll soon catch up, he said. How wonderful to be that innocent and carefree again, Sherlock said, smiling wistfully at the scene. Later that afternoon, we bid farewell to our stunning historical location and made our way back to the hotel. After an early dinner, we headed to the Teatro Manzoni. Unbeknown to Nico and me, Enrico Caruso had reserved complimentary tickets for us in the front stalls to celebrate an evening with the lyric baritone Giuseppe De Luca, who was giving a recital of operatic aria and Neapolitan songs. It helps if I read the entire word. A happy party returned to the hotel with 7 exhausted children at the end of a perfect day. Ginevra took them to bed while the adults retired to the cocktail bar for a nightcap of brandy and liquor. When we eventually arrived back in our suite later that evening, while my husband took a shower, I noticed an unopened present in the locker. Good night, Kay. It was lovely to see you again. Y'all take care of yourself now, okay? I stared at the parcel, wondering who it was from. I thought I had opened all my presents earlier at dinner. There had been candies from the children, a pearl necklace from Violetta and Ava, a collection of complete poems of Ernest Dowson from Sophia, and from Caterina an exquisite bottle of Fiori di Capri perfume. I stared in surprise at this last present from Sherlock, wrapped in elegant silver paper, furrowing my brow as I carefully unwrapped the delicate paper. After the beautiful weekend, which I knew must have cost a small fortune, I wasn't expecting anything else from my husband. Although an exceedingly generous person, it wasn't unusual for him to buy me presents, but he rarely wrapped them. I sensed this was Sophia's doing, as the parcel was beautifully presented with a large bow and a gift card on what was simply written, "All my love, Sherlock." I opened the parcel to reveal a silver plaque engraved with the words of one of my favorite poems, splendidly depicting old ties of love and friendship. The author was Diana Craig, the English novelist and poet. Even after everything that had transpired between us and our son's abduction, I still wasn't entirely sure if Sherlock had wholly forgiven me. There was no way I could change what had occurred, although I would have given anything to do so. The words on the plaque finally cast all doubt aside. Oh, the comfort, the inexpressible comfort of feeling safe with a person, having neither to weigh thoughts nor measure words, but pouring them all right out just as they are, chaff and grain together, certain that a faithful hand will take and sift them, keep what is worth keeping, and with the breath of kindness blow the rest away. I placed the plaque on the bedside locker, poured 2 liberal glasses of port while sitting on the bed, and waited for Sherlock to finish his shower. I will never forget the precious hours spent with my family, closest friends and beloved husband. Here in Monza, I felt a rejuvenating energy, a new sense of belonging in what was a time of reflection, healing, love, and compassion, but most of all, new beginnings. For Sherlock and me, the delightful joys of the weekend, after the challenging lows of the past few weeks, had played a significant part in our rebonding as a couple, reminiscent of the delicious, heady stage of our relationship in Fiesole and our second honeymoon in Venice, reminding us that we must stop and be thankful for those most important in our lives. The people closest to us, who we chose to spend time with, because one day, when we look up from all our distractions in life, they may no longer be around to hear you tell them how much you care. A tall shadow hovered over me, interrupting my thoughts. I looked up to see Sherlock looking down at me with a tender expression, a towel draped around his shoulders, his hair wet and tousled from the shower. "I hope you enjoyed your special day," he said. "It's all been rather wonderful, thank you," I sighed as his lips softly brushed mine. In each other's arms, we embraced the glorious survival of our shared intimacy and an enduring love that could never be tarnished. I had no idea what the future might hold, but no matter what life throws at us, our family will meet it head on, embracing life and any future adventures. We Sapori sing from our own hymn sheet, and woe betide anyone who had an issue with that. Little did I know that our new adventures would arrive far sooner than expected. Ladies and gentlemen, minus the epilogue, of course, that is The Whistle of Revenge. Bravo, KD. Bravo. Thank you so much for reading, Jason. You did a great job. Well, thank you, and thank you for letting me. It's been a real treat. I do very much look forward to the day that you message me and say, "Hey, book number 5 is ready," because that will be a great day. My goodness. This weekend has been absolutely spectacular. I got to go see a video game concert symphony orchestra last night.
What's this? What's this? What's this? What's this?
Yes.
What's this? What's this?
We got a new puppy today. We got to finish an amazing book. It's been wonderful. So on Tuesday, I will keep you posted. Thanks again. Yes, please do, and thank you. Go get some sleep. It is late for you. You want to see the puppy? I will bring the puppy to stream on Tuesday, I promise. The puppy right now is... Well, I have no idea what the puppy's doing right now, because even I have only seen the puppy for a whole 60 seconds, so... But on Tuesday's stream, we will be starting Tennessee Wishes. I'm going to quickly read the back cover to you so that we can all be reminded of what this book is about. And then we'll find someone to raid. Ava Morgan arrives in Nashville, a city transformed by music and gripped by rising crime. A serial killer on the loose. All she has to her name is a dream and an unshakable determination to make it in country music. With a rough plan in mind, Ava has a place to stay and takes a job waiting tables at a local up-and-coming bar, hoping for a chance to perform on their stage. Then she meets Owen Lane, a rising country star battling his own demons in the cutthroat music scene. Their connection is instantaneous and undeniable, but Owen's past has left him wary of love. When Ava suddenly stops communicating, Owen is left questioning if what they shared was real or just a fleeting moment. Meanwhile, the city is haunted by the killer's trail. Is Ava just avoiding Owen? Or has she unknowingly become the killer's next target? So yeah, that's what we're going to start on Tuesday. My gosh, thank you all so much for being here tonight. It has been an absolute joy. I know we went a little bit longer than usual, but we had to finish the book and see how it ended. Of course, we know it's not the real end, because there will be a fifth story. Now, let's find out who's online that we can go say hello to. Was a wonderful reading. It was a great story, and thank you very much, Dry. Gosh, there's quite a few people online. Having trouble picking one. You know what? We haven't rated my friends Here There Be Monsters in a while. Mercy of the couple is playing RimWorld right now. He's a nice guy. He's a good dude. I agree with Gemma. I want to see the puppy. I know, but I don't even know what the puppy's doing right now. And I promise on Tuesday, I will have more puppy time so you can see the puppy. I promise. Please copy the raid message. You're just gonna have to wait until Tuesday. The puppy is adjusting. This is her first time here at her house, so it's gonna take a little time for her to get comfortable and realize that she's staying here and not going somewhere else. So he's withholding the puppy for... Yeah, it's my secret plan. I'm just trying to make sure you guys come back. All right, thank you again so much. Thank you for the raids as well and for the new followers. It's been a pleasure to have you here. I very, very much appreciate it. We'll be back on Tuesday. And yeah, I hope the start of your week goes wonderfully. But please, as always, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and have an amazing night.